What's going on, guys? Happy Saturday to you. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. It is 1 o'clock here on the West Coast here in California, and this was not planned. This was not a planned live stream. I thought I was going to take the weekend off, but then a couple of my buddies, you know them as Dustin, the personal finance dad, and Boris, the hobby box, we got to chatting, and we decided, hey, why not do a little live stream on this weekend, talk about what we're buying, what we're selling, different things going on in our lives, and see what we're excited about in the next month and up to 2021. So let me bring them on. You already know who they are. This is Boris, aka the Hobby Box, soon to be the owner of his own physical store. We'll talk about that in a bit. And then, of course, the guy looking down, probably texting, is Dustin, the personal finance dad. Looking up those personal finance dad jokes that he's going to share with us later on. How are you guys doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. Boris, what's up with you down in Tampa?
Good, man. It's just, working and living it up.
Yeah, you sound very enthusiastic. With
I
that. Well, you've been less on YouTube lately with everything else you got going on. I've been more on YouTube. Dustin, you've been everywhere. But let me say hi to these guys right here. It looks like Scott O is on. We got Mike C in the house. Mike is always with us. Good thing you got to catch this live stream before you went out, because this was like 30 minutes ago. We're like, yeah, might as well do a live stream and just talk about some stuff. Joel is in the house and Chris. And for one, how was your Thanksgiving? Justin, you traveled somewhere, right?
Yeah, we went down to Jacksonville Beach and hung out with some family there. So that was cool. I'd never been to that beach before. So, I mean, it was good. My dad lives in Land O'Lakes, just north of you, Boris.
Wow. So
yeah, they met us up and yeah, it was a good time. It was really low key. We got a place that was right on the beach, so it was like with the little ones, easy just to like get them out, run them up and down the beach. It was good. Can't complain.
That's cool. What about you, Boris? Anything cool down in Tampa?
Oh man, Tampa's not cool right now, man.
Yeah, Tampa's never been cool. The coolest Tampa has been is the last year or two, but I don't know. 2010 Tampa was never cool.
2010 Tampa?
Yeah, 2010 Tampa, there was nothing.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely the Mecca now. You know what I mean? I don't know why people live in California. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't know if you guys know. So I used to wait tables at the Sonny's Barbecue off of Bush Boulevard. Down there, right next to Busch Gardens.
Right next to Busch Gardens.
I actually do know. I think that restaurant has changed like 9 times, but that would be the coolest thing you could say about Tampa.
After I left
tables at Sonny's.
After I left, it just shut down. After I left, they're like, we can't go on without this guy. Yeah,
I think Tampa just went downhill since you left.
That was 20 years ago, 19 years ago. So yeah, everything's falling apart.
Well, I'll be honest, man. When Tampa, when you open your card shop and the new businesses that come to Tampa, like I see that as an extension of Miami and LA and New York. But when LA's open, dude, there's so many things to do. There's just so much. Now I feel like I'm in Tampa, except with just less humidity because nothing's open.
Well, yeah, didn't they just speaking of that? Wasn't there just another big shutdown in LA, Brad? Like, Dude, you're gonna be making videos all day, every day because you can't go anywhere.
You know what's crazy is that it's one of those things where I feel like in life it kind of mimics sports, because you know that big sport quote, which is you take what the defense gives you, right? So if the defense wants to blitz you, you throw it over the top. If they play soft, you run it up the gut. And I feel like, all right, you shut down everything again. The gyms are closed. There's no indoor seating, but there's also no outdoor seating at restaurants. So I'm like, all right, I just got to create more content because that's all I could do at this point. I can't go anywhere, can't do anything. And we got a USF alum in the house.
I know, I saw that.
That's cool.
Yeah. Oh, that's sick, man. So you're probably struggling alongside us, without a decent degree. USF, they used to say you stay forever. I don't know if you guys remember that.
I don't remember that at all. I have no idea what you're talking about.
But anyways, guys, so let's talk a bit about cards. What's on your mind in terms of sports cards? Are you buying? Are you selling? Are you holding? Obviously, we got a lot of hype around the next NBA season. Baseball is far away. We got football. We're in the midst of that. A lot of teams are looking like they're either going to be making the playoffs or missing altogether. big injuries there. What's your mindset right now with the card hobby overall? And we'll start with you, Dustin.
Yeah, I just bought a bunch of, and I did a mail day last week, but I bought a bunch of Jamal Murray stuff. And I don't know, and I might be reaching a little bit on him. I typically don't speculate on a lot of guys outside of, Giannis, Luka. But Jamal Murray in the playoffs, just the way that he was, I don't know. And just that young Nuggets team, it just kind of felt like for me, I was thinking, what's going to happen a couple years from now when there is no LeBron's Lakers and the West actually opens up a little bit? Maybe Steph Curry's, winding down, and the Warriors are no longer. I mean, they're already kind of winding down without Clay, but so I was just thinking, who are those next teams? Who are the young teams that are coming up in the next few years? And I think Jamal Murray and the Nuggets are going to continue to be good. So yeah, I just went in. I got some of his optic stuff. I got an optic hollow PSA 9 rookie. I probably spent, I don't know, maybe $1,200 on some of his stuff, 5 or 6 cards. But I was also thinking, if I don't buy it now, then I'm going to be waiting till next off season, and I don't know what the pricing will look like at that point. So for basketball cards, I'm probably going to hold off unless I just think, unless there's a young guy that I want to speculate on, that I want to pick up some stuff. I was actually thinking about going back to football cards because now I feel like football is kind of winding down in the next few weeks. Once basketball really starts to get, all the excitement, probably middle of December, right before everything starts up. I don't know. I think maybe football, I might go back to football and check that out, and see what pricing is doing there. And for football, I know it's probably going to be kind of not very, it's probably anticlimactic, but I want Pat Mahomes stuff, and his stuff has been very expensive for a while now. So I'm looking to see if there's any sort of break in that price, and I might just wait till the off season, but football might be kind of where I go over the next couple weeks.
What about you, Boris? Are you along the same line or completely different?
I'm a little different.
I actually hated everything he just said.
Everything Dustin said is completely wrong.
Just do the opposite of Dustin, and you'll be fine.
In fact, you know what, Dustin, you've had your time. Thanks so much for joining us. We got to cut you short.
Yeah,
that was coming at some point.
I'm back. Yeah.
This is just a fun game, man. I get trigger happy on this. So, what are you up to, Boris?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still picking up basketball. Not as much as I was. I probably spent somewhere in the, you're gonna think it's crazy. We for business purposes, I guess, we spent in the vicinity of $10,000 or something like that before, probably a month and a half ago, on basketball. And so a lot of profits coming in now on that. But still buying and selling and just looking for deals and looking for checking out what I think is still low and what should rise. And I'll probably end up selling a lot more of my stuff here in the next month. I'll probably dump off half of it, but I've dumped off a good amount. So I usually set it up to where it's 30 to 50% is a good profit range, and just to continue to flip and go. That's kind of how I do things.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I see the comments here about, for one, Cardboard Max asks if anyone is buying Kobe, and I've been selling Kobe's like crazy. So I know, Dustin, you saw that PSA video. I'm actually selling a lot of my Kobe's way higher than I ever imagined. I was selling these PSA 10s for $100 or $120 a piece, but these are base cards. So I'm thrilled with. I mean, we're talking about Topps Finest, some Topps Chrome, but I've sold about $1,600 worth of PSA 10s, about 12 of them to one guy outside of eBay. But so it's really helping. So I think Kobe is on the rise.
You can tell him it's me. I felt bad for him. I'm just buying it all.
Dude, I'll take it, man. I'll take all the pity. I'll take it all, man. And then I saw here Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and I've been selling him as well because, again, I bought his cards a couple months ago, back in October, and now that Chris Paul's gone, we don't know what's going to happen. We saw Dak Prescott go down with an injury. We saw Klay Thompson not even make it to preseason, and he's done for the rest of the year. Joe Burrow, we see all these injuries. And so for me, if I can make that 50% to 2x return before the season starts, I will take that all day long. And so my thought process and what excites me now is sell as much as I can for a good profit before the season starts. Some players are going to take off and I'm going to lose out on making 3x or 4x. But if I can make overall 75%, 2x return, something like that, with that very low risk, I'm all for it. And that's why I'm even starting to consider baseball, because if I just, without even watching the games, if I know who's going to be hyped the most next season, then I'll be very interested to see, okay, well, when people do want to buy baseball, they're going to be reading articles on ESPN and on Bleacher Report and whatever else. And who are the teams and who are the players that are going to be hyped the most, have the biggest expectations? And if I could just get in that rhythm, I could make a good amount. And just like Boris, you said you spent like $10,000 or so in the last month. Part of me is wanting to go all in next year on the high end stuff and really drop like 60, 70, 80,000, just because I feel like if you can have that strategy of making 50% and not going for the home runs, but just getting it at the low point and selling it before the next season, where you don't even need the players to play, you're just using the timing of the seasons, then you can make a great living if you have enough in. So that's starting to excite me more and more as I see these patterns with NBA and NFL and how players just like their prices get slashed after they're not going to make the playoffs or after an injury. And, all right, well, when you come back or when you're almost back, if that card starts to creep up to 50% more than its rock bottom, well, that's a pretty good guarantee right there. So that's where I'm at right there.
I have a question for you guys. So if you look at like March through July, end of July. So there was a lot of price movement, without anybody playing. It's kind of the joke of like, it just kind of keeps going up, but no one's playing. There's no injuries. There's any of that. Are you guys more conservative now with like your returns, to where like March to July, you're like, I'm just going to watch this thing triple, quadruple, and then I'll maybe sell. Are you, now that we've kind of seen a little bit of a dip, over the last, that September, October dip, are you a little bit more conservative now than maybe you would have been before, or has that always been the plan? Just get that 30 to 50 and then 30 to 50% and then let it go.
Boris.
I don't know who did. I am, like I said, I'm letting a lot of it go at certain time. I think the biggest thing is like with sports cards that I've noticed is like a lot of the price in the card is the buildup and the expectation. And so once they start playing, you lose a little bit of that if they don't ball out. So it's kind of like sell a lot of it, keep a couple, and then keep it moving. Because if and then you're watching the games, if you see that such and such player is balling out, you're still going to have an opportunity. Their cards are going to continue to go up from there. So you'll still have an opportunity to take some of the money that you earn from, like, let's say Zion, and Zion's not going nuts. You can take that money from Zion and then put it into other players. But if you just hold it and you're just waiting for him to go crazy, it might not happen, but you might have money from, I guess to move it to who is going great. Like, like right now, Trae Young is like, his cards are crazy. And so do you sell the Trae Young now? And, I think the Hawks are going to have a great year. But do you sell it now and get all that high end money and then take the chance, like you said, that it might go even further? But I mean, if you've already like doubled your money, then what's the issue?
Yeah, I'm on the same line of thinking, because if I can get double and then roll that into something else with that same formula of it's off season, you're at a very low point, and I'd rather make 2x over and over and over and over again than go for that 3x, 4x, 5x with not only higher risk, but it taking more time, because now I have to wait for the season to go. I mean, do I have to wait halfway through the year for him to take off? in order to sell, because if I can sell and then the NBA season starts and I make my profit there and I roll it into baseball, and then April baseball season starts, and so in March I sell that and then I use that to roll it over into football. Now all of a sudden I can double that money with a lower risk, and also with lower risk, but also multiple times per year. So that's for me where I'm thinking, all right, well, if I could do that with these low end cards, because I was buying up so many second year Prism Trae Youngs, second year Prism Jason Tatum's, very cheap. I mean, like $2, $3 cards on Comp C, just to see if I was onto something. And now I'm selling the Prism Trae Youngs for $10, $12. And I'm like, damn, all right, well, what if I did that with Trae Young's rookie card at that same time frame? What if I did that, the same philosophy of wait for the bottom? And someone asked about Joe Burrow. I don't know. When it's Joe Burrow's bottom, I definitely would buy it because it will be his bottom price. The question is, we got a lot of time to see when the bottom will be, because we don't know if he's going to start next season or if he's going to be halfway through or if it's going to be the following season. But whatever the bottom is, I think Joe Burrow's great. Same thing as Clay. I mean, I want Clay to drop and drop and drop. And when it's so low, I don't think he's going to have a career-ending injury. I think he'll be back and play the following year, but we have time to wait and see. So if his cards drop to $100 for a Prism PSA 9, okay, great. I'll buy 10. I'll buy 12. I can wait on that for next season. So I kind of like when players get injured, not like for their sake, but in terms of an opportunity, because I think of it as, all right, all the excitement, all the hype is stripped away from your card prices. No one wants to hold on to your cards. And so now let me see how far they go down, and I can play that waiting game.
Yeah, the big question mark with Clay and Durant is they had Achilles injuries, which 30% of NBA players that have that injury never play again. So it's like, if you really think of it, I mean, that literally is the Achilles heel of NBA players for how they play. So that Durant's going to be a big kind of question mark, coming back. Is he going to be the same guy? How are the Nets going to be? I mean, the East is nowhere near what the West is. So, I mean, maybe they can compete, but that'll be really telling. See what he can do.
But like he might suck, right? He might suck and he might get injured again on the first play. But I think that's the beauty of saying, all right, I see the bottom right now, super low. He already has a certain legacy that will hold some value. But just the question of, will he play good, will he play bad? But seeing the prices rise because people will latch onto that hype, and selling for that 50% return, I'll take it. And like you mentioned earlier, in terms of, are we selling now at less of a profit versus letting it ride the way it was back in July and August? Yeah, for me, I'm like a good 2x. I'm more about 2x and then get out and find that next opportunity with the same mindset. Because if I can do that, I could let it ride. But I mean, people did that over summer and last spring, and it's like you're just getting closer and closer to a cliff, and you're hoping you jump out of the car at the last second.
Right.
But that doesn't always happen.
Yeah, for sure. I think you're right. I think Durant is going to be a beast, in my opinion, but that doesn't mean I want to be holding on to his cards. I think. I mean, like, I'll hold a couple. Like, so right now I've got I think I have 3 Durant cards right now. And so I'll probably hold the best one for a little while, and then I'll probably dump the other ones off when I get a shot. And same thing with like I just got, I mean, like, there's players I think that you can hold. And those players, in my opinion, are just people that are going to ball out. I mean, and their prices are going to be affected. I mean, Luka Doncic, you know what I'm saying? Like, his prices are probably not going to go down. They're probably just going to go up after he has 3 triple doubles in a row. Like, I mean, you just know that he's going to come out and he's going to be firing on all cylinders. It's like him, obviously know LeBron's going to come out and do his thing. Trae Young could probably, he had 30 points per game in a lot of games and things like that. So it's like, you don't have to dump it all off. But I had a lot that I bought with Trae Young, probably a month and a half ago. It was like a $4,300 lot, and it had 2 silver PSA 10s. It had 3 base 10s, and then it had like 6 like low grade company 10s, which I broke out to kind of send those in. But I've already sold like 2 of the bases, and I sold 1 of the silvers, and I'm already at $3,800, and I still have a silver left. I still have a 10 left, and I still have like, those other cards that could come back a 10 PSA. So I'm all, even if I just sold the other 2, I've already doubled my money. It's like,
yeah,
who cares?
Well, something I like about that strategy is if you buy a lot of a player and you can sell off half of it before the season starts to get you at the break even, and then the other half can carry throughout that season. So if they get injured in the first 10 games and they're out for the first half of the season, you miss your opportunity short term, but then you hold it and then you could sell later on. But it's just really tempting when you see a good return before they even play, and it's mostly because of injuries. It's not really performance. It's usually like, will you go down with a horrific injury? Because only Clay has gotten injured before the season that I'm aware of in this like last year. But Joe Burrow and Dak Prescott, it's like, dude, those were great investments until that one moment when it wasn't. And it's not even about their talent or their skill set. It's literally about you got hit in the wrong spot. And it could be basketball, it could be football, it could be baseball, it could be anything. So I like the idea of just, you invest a couple thousand, you sell off up until breaking even or coming close to it before the season starts. And then the rest of it is just icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Here, you want to answer this question real quick? This is a good one. How long do you hold a loser until he comes back? Or like, if you feel like you made a bad investment, what's your thought process in terms of holding for 6 months, a year, or is it just like, let me cut my losses? Dustin?
I don't speculate a lot, meaning that like, the biggest speculation buys I have are like Luka, or, I have a couple of Zion, I've got a couple of Ja, but I don't have a lot of money wrapped up in Brandon Clark or, guys that are good, that are showing a lot of, potential. But just haven't, they still have to show a lot more, not getting a lot of playing time, etc. I don't have a lot of money wrapped up in prospects. So for me, and I learned that lesson actually last year. So I do have Mason Rudolph rookie cards. I've got Ryan Finley rookie cards. I need to get those out actually now that he's playing for the Bengals. I need to get those out immediately. So I learned that last year where I bought quarterbacks. I've got Will Greer rookie cards. But for me, it's like I'm just going to hold those until hopefully Will gets a start somewhere. But I just don't buy a lot of prospects. To where like I've got quite a bit of like Steph Curry. I don't have a lot of like Kobe and Jordan stuff just because prices went up so much over the last 12 months. I just haven't been able to really like pick my spot where I want to get in on. I'm just going to wait on that stuff. But yeah, it's, for the most part, I'm just not doing a lot of prospecting. So, I don't feel like I have to do a lot of that, cut my losses early type thing.
What about you, Boris? Because I know you do a lot of like active players, and I find it more fun. Like Kobe was the one guy that I saw the short-term upside with documentary, Hall of Fame, etc. And living in LA, it just meant more. But I like the idea of having the incentive to watch active sports and see what's going on Sports Center, to see who they're showing highlights of and who they're not. But the guys that, all right, you're a lot better, but you're not getting a lot of airtime. But I know that when playoffs come, all of a sudden you'll be front and center stage and that kind of thing. With vintage, I saw someone here talk about is vintage the only hold or something like that. And to me, vintage is Kobe and Jordan. It's literally retired is vintage in my opinion, just because I look at it as like active performance and then retired. But I just don't even care for vintage at this point. It's not fun. I want the fluid. I want to be able to go in and out very quickly because that's more fun for me. But what's your take on that, Boris?
We're all going to have bad buys, it happens. To sit here and say I've made money on every single thing I've done. No, like I bought soccer cards and luckily I didn't do a lot with soccer cards. I only spent like maybe a couple $100, but, and look at what them suckers are just way down. But like I can give you a perfect example. I think the best thing you can do is you can find people who are interested in those cards and trade them. So I'll give you a perfect example. I bought and usually what I'm trading for is I'm trading for the season that's coming. So I'm sure there's a lot of people here that invested in Lamar Jackson, and he fell off a cliff. Like his prices were going insane at the beginning of the year, and I kind of was like, all right, cool. Like I made a mistake and I bought it. I bought like a PSA 9 that I thought could cross to a 10, and so I bought it, and I paid a little much for it because I was like, oh, this is going to cross to a 10. And so I bought it, and lo and behold, it crossed to a 10. And I was like, oh, perfect. It was the red, white, and blue. And so I was looking at the prices of them. Oh, yeah, Project 2020 , right?
Those are like candy bars, man. They got like chocolate bars. Like, dude, give me some of that.
I've got a couple of those, but I didn't pay.
Chocolate bars.
Yeah. So the Lamar Jackson situation, when I was crossing it over to a PSA 10, it was going to be like $2,000 was what it's selling for. And I 5-day it to get it back as soon as possible. And by the time I had got it back, Lamar Jackson had dropped to like $700. It was nuts. It was like, boom, like straight down. And so what I did was I got the Lamar Jackson. It was like probably a month ago. Not a month ago, a month and a half ago, I had the Lamar Jackson, and I took that card and I traded it for a Trae Young Select PSA 10 and a Zion Orange Refractor PSA 10. And so I traded it for those two cards because I knew the value was lesser, but I knew that the upside potential of those other cards and where they're going. And I don't think they've seen their max yet. But I liked the opportunity of the upside of those other two players who were about to come into season, and people were going to be, going crazy over buying those two players. So.
It's funny about Lamar Jackson. I can't wait to invest in his cards for next season because I love players that disappoint. And I saw a couple of people talking about New York has different athletes, and California has a lot of great athletes. And I was doing some research on baseball because I don't watch baseball. I don't plan on watching baseball, but I know if there's a season coming up, I want to know who are the top players and which ones disappointed the most, but which ones are better than their last year's performance. Because if they're like Lamar was coming off of MVP, right? So he was coming off of a high. And if you're coming off of a high, your cards can't drop too much. And it's going to be hard for you to live up to those expectations. But now that I see Lamar's prices, I mean, they tanked. They went from Patrick Mahomes level down to like, Gardner Minshew level, just like insane drops. But I also saw that the wide receivers for the Ravens are one of the worst in the league. So I'm thinking, all right, you have a great quarterback, a very talented young guy. You get him some more weapons, and all of a sudden you do that in the draft, you do that in free agency, and at least the hype around Lamar Jackson for next year will be through the roof. And I mean, the record's still not bad. It's just looking like they're not going to make the playoffs. The prices will continue to slump. So Lamar is going to be one of my first targets for next year because I know the Ravens they'll get at least one big name wide receiver or a high draft pick that will bring hype. And so the prices will be so low that will be a good investment next time. And then for baseball, I narrowed it down, and the guys that I saw that I liked the most were pretty much Aaron Judge and Gleyber Torres. And I don't know much about either, but I knew that when I read enough articles, which teams disappointed the most in 2020, the Yankees topped the list. So knowing that it's a big market and the disappointment was so heavy for the Yankees, and the hype, and of course the media around New York is so big, those are the guys that I'll target first to see what's at a steep discount, knowing that, all right, well, if I could just capitalize off of the hype before the season starts in April, that should be a good strategy. And worst case scenario, Aaron Judge is still a great player, number one in jersey sales, things like that. But that's at least my thought process.
Yeah, that's good. I agree with you on Lamar Jackson, because you also have to think of guys too, like who are exciting players in the league, with big highlights, and who's going to be who are fans going to be excited about seeing, coming into that next season. And Lamar is going to be that guy. Even if they slump and, the Ravens just don't do much for the rest of the year. I agree with you on that. It's kind of like, who are the exciting players, and Lamar is an exciting player.
Yeah. I mean, there's like popularity, there's style, there's all that stuff. But I think, the cool thing is if you use Card Ladder or Market Movers or whatever, and you get to track these prices, it's not just about, I like this player, I like this team, all this. When you see that, holy shit, something can happen and prices can plummet, like literally plummet. And then one signing or one little breaking news article, something, and the prices will skyrocket. That intrigues me a lot more, because then it's less about the player long term, and it's more about, if you're so low right now based on, you're at the rock bottom. The expectations were super high, and then now everything like just flat out sucked. Nothing worked out. Now that intrigues me a lot more, because the chances that things are going to suck even more from that point are very low. The chances that you get one additional weapon, a new coach, a trade, something else, all you need is one little bit of good news for that player to go from like $100 card back up to 200 when a couple months before that it was at 800. So that's to me the exciting part, is if you can just work your way into those and get a system that works. You can just do that with all the sports, because for me it's more about human behavior, right? The players are always the players. Everyone loves certain players, certain teams, whatever. But if people overreact so much, then I would rather understand what they're overreacting to and what they're underreacting to, and that's a lot more duplicatable, if that's a word, than just following every sport in detail. That's at least my perspective.
I hate everything you just said, Brad.
That's okay. Remove. All right, Boris. That's the cool thing with hosting the stream, is that I have the button. I am the controller here. All right.
I think
you were putting time out.
I think I lost you guys for a second, but it's probably me.
Is it your Wi? What? I can't. Your Wi-Fi's busting up. What's that? Just okay. Anyway, so in terms of selling, is there anything that you guys are really looking to sell? Is it like NBA cards for the next season? This is a good time to sell, or are you still buying, or is there anything like that you're just excited to sell at the moment that we haven't mentioned?
I'm also going to sell some basketball, I think, over the next 30 days. I would assume that I probably will. I haven't narrowed down exactly what that's going to be, but I expect to sell some basketball for sure in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, same. Basketball, like I said, I'm going to sell a lot of it here in the next couple weeks. I've got tons of Slavies.
You want to show some of those? You want to go through some of those cards?
I'm probably going to move some of my Howie Long rookie cards. You see what he's doing in the booth?
Howie Long.
He's doing some amazing things in the booth these days.
Yeah, man. Shea, PSA 10. These are really hard to come by. Not really hard to come by, but there's not. They don't grade very well. The Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. So if he gets he's going to have more playing time, and obviously I feel like OKC is like building the team around him. They shipped CP3 off, and so for sure I think that's a move. Luka, this one's a Don Russ PSA 10. I got some Luka. I'm planning on shipping off a lot of Zion in the next couple of weeks, and then holding them until he has like a really big game. These are all Zions.
What do you got there? So I saw some selects, and what else?
It's all select. This is all select. And then those are all 10s. And then I've got Brandon Ingram optics, 3 of those. I've got Brandon Ingram's my dude. John Collins. That's a orange looking
dude.
deal.
I'm always afraid of these damn parallels, man. Because like the parallels just confuse me. How do you interpret which parallels you want to take a gamble on? Are you just looking at the data based on it, or are you just looking at certain parallels differently than others?
I always like the ones that shine, man.
They all shine, man. We got unicorn comet, we got rainbow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in this case, it was just a deal I didn't want to pass up, so I just got it. I like John Collins. I think hopefully now the situation's a little bit more blurry now. just because of Gallinari, but hopefully he still keeps that going. So, I mean, I like the Mosaic. One of the reasons why they started making Mosaic is because people really liked Mosaic in the 2018 because this was just Prism Mosaic, you know?
Yeah.
So I like I'm sorry, this is 2017. Sorry. And then, yeah, man, I've got tons of stuff here too. It's fun. It's all fun.
Keith Van Horn rookie card?
No, it's all basketball, man. Come on, man. What are you thinking?
Dude, Keith Van Horn was basketball.
Well, I mean, like
recent,
yeah.
I'm picking up Sean Bradley.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Sean Bradley. Rick Smits was my dude.
I got some Detlef Shrimp rookies in the mail.
That's it, man. Detlef was the man.
He was actually really good. He was good,
dude. Yeah. But that's what's scary though when you think about it. I remember a lot of these players from when I was a kid: Chris Mullen, Detlef Schrempf, just like Tim Hardaway Sr., just good players. And you go, their cards aren't worth shit. And even if it was lower print runs, they're just forgotten about so fast. Antonio McDyess and Antoine Walker. Do you remember just guys, even Penny Hardaway, right? I mean, guys that really were they had a couple great years in them, and then their cards they're just worth nothing, like absolute nothing. And not only that, they're not even remembered, right? You have to be a big NBA fan to remember these players. They don't have a brand or anything that has leaked on or like lasted. And maybe it's going to be different now with social media, but it's just crazy because I go, man, these are all short-term flips. Like, there's no one that I feel very good about long-term unless they already have 5 years under their belt. Because even someone like Luka and Trae Young, I'm like, one big injury, right? You're so new, you're so young. One injury and it could all be over. Like Derrick Rose and all these players that were Greg Oden. We don't even know if he was supposed, I don't know how he played, but dude, he never even got his feet on the ground or he never got off the ground because of the injuries. So to me, that's why selling before the season just makes so much sense, just because I'm so nervous about a career ending or at least a season ending injury.
Yeah, and then you're forced to hold for a year or whatever it is, 6-9 months.
Yeah,
it happens.
Yeah,
that's when I'll be buying up everybody's cards.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You guys got any Saquon Barkley I can pick up?
Oh, bro, Saquon is probably. I just don't know. So football is going to be very hard to read again for another year. I think Pokemon. I think Pokemon did a lot of damage to the football market. So we didn't really get a good look at it of exactly what it's going to look like. I mean, it just ruined it, honestly. I believe people started, flipping over to Pokemon and a lot of the money from football kind of just went out the window, especially they're only playing once a week and then COVID. And it was just, you weren't able to see football's still a mystery to me at this point of what it's going to look like in the future. Because I think next year if there's no Pokemon action where people are trying to get in on these Pokemon while they're going up, then I think football has an opportunity to be bigger next year.
I don't know about you guys, but I can't spend more money on Pokemon. I've just dumped everything into it that I've got.
Really?
No.
Well, the thing is, I just don't know what I'd be waiting for with Pokemon. I don't know what I'd be waiting for. I don't know what research I do in terms of, is there a movie coming out? Is there something that is a
25th anniversary?
What's that?
25th
I know, but what does that
anniversary.
mean? What does that mean? Are they throwing a parade? I mean, is it like a Macy's Day Parade? No, Pokemon 25th. And so it's what is it? That sounds like hype without any moment in which there could be performance. Are they actually going to have Pokemon battles? If they could actually have these things be real. If Charizard was real, that would make sense, because then Charizard could go against Blastoise and we'll see who is the champion. If it's just imaginary, then I'm waiting on a movie or something else to dictate where the attention can go. But I just don't know how do I even start? I
think people are banking on, it's a massive brand. What I've seen is some folks say that it's bigger than, and maybe this is, I'm sure it's true if they say it, but it's bigger than Star Wars. It's bigger than, globally. It's a massive brand. And so, all right, Raleigh AI. I'm in Raleigh.
It's $1 a piece. Yes.
All right. Yeah. How much do we get out of
Thanks,
that?
Al.
Yeah. And then
You get the 99 cents, Dustin. I'll keep the dollar. Boris gets the other dollar.
Yeah, YouTube ain't gonna let you have nothing, man. Come on.
Yeah, they just took 90% of that.
Yeah.
No,
All
but
right, what were you saying, Dustin?
I think it's the long-term Pokemon brand. It's just they're banking on it. And look, I mean, what was that game, the Pokemon Go, that just kind of took off a couple of years ago? So maybe it does have the ability to, get attention with stuff like that. I don't know, but I feel like buying into it now would not be a good move. Just with all the attention on it, it's like,
Well, I have all my cards from when I was a kid, and I want to list them. And the reason is because next year is the anniversary. So that tells me that I got a month until next year, which means the hype is going to be high right now. But once it's the anniversary, that's kind of like, all right, you played the game, and now what? Now where do you go from here? So to me, it's more just like I don't know what would be next. And like Charizard can't tear an ACL because he can't do anything. Like there is no option. There is no upside. There is just like
it's just like I think it's more of art. You know what I mean? Like paintings can't do anything either, but they sell for tons of money.
That's why they're stupid. That's why we're in sports cards, not painting. I get it from an art standpoint. I'm just in terms of a strategy. That's where I'm like, is it just compare this card to this card and say, well, like if Charizard is the most expensive and Charmander is the little version of Charizard, then and Blastoise is half the price of Charizard, then what is Squirtle, his little evolving thing? If he's a tenth of the price of Charmander, then is Squirtle the better buy? Is that like the only way you could do it is ratios against each other? Right. Because how else do you look at Pokemon? Like, what about one of the random Pokemons out there that doesn't get so much attention?
Yeah, here's the Scottie Pippen to Charizard.
Yeah, what's the Dennis Rodman of Pokemon? Because that's the one I would want to invest in. The one that like, has a lot of sex appeal, but isn't that great.
Right.
But anyway,
too, bro.
I don't know enough about it. But I know it's huge. I mean, people love it. I just don't know how to get in properly to it.
Al, I need a bit more than that. Just kidding, man. I appreciate it. That's really cool. Was that $2,999 or did I read that wrong? It was literally a $3,000 mistake. So if I could just get 1,000 times of that would be phenomenal. But that's for another video. And I'm actually super overwhelmed in terms of support. I've sold a lot of those cards for way more than I anticipated. And I think I'll break even, if not make some money. But that's a different conversation. So it looks like Pokemon's about an insert, the rare insert. I guess it just, because you have a brand, you have so many people interested that it can just have a market. But in terms of strategy, I don't know how you would get into it and apply the same type of research you would for sports into Pokemon or anything else that's non-performance based. But yeah, it is what it is on that one. Boris, I want you to talk a bit about your store, because if you guys are out there and you don't know, Boris is starting a sports card shop in St. Pete, right? That's the goal, or is it Tampa or where?
Yeah, it's the goal is St. Pete, 4th Street. So we're in the process of that. Me and a buddy, Sean. So we're in the process of getting it all going. But yeah, 4th Street on St. Pete.
So okay? You mentioned like it's in the process. Maybe March or sometime next year it'll be ready. But sounds like a pretty big undertaking. So I wanted to ask you, what's been the process like of starting a brick and mortar business and everything around it? Because I mean, even just starting a YouTube station, you guys might not realize this is a lot of work. There's a ton of work just having a YouTube station and building a brand and a community. But for one, like, what's been the journey of starting a sports card shop for you?
Really, it's about making connections and just like trying to reach out to a bunch of different people. On the end of like getting a leasing, finding the right lease, and we're not there yet. I think that leases are going to be pretty good in this upcoming year, which is a reason why we haven't done it yet. So we're not to that point yet of like getting one of those great leases that I think are going to be coming up. I know Gary Vee talked about that, of like, this is a great time to redo leases and things like that. So just looking for the right spot. and the right lease has been like, that's just a process of just like any kind of real estate, process. But as far as building the online brand, I think that's the best way to do it nowadays, because you can do a lot of things online, getting your website going. We're in the process of getting the website going for Shopify, getting people into breaks, building people's trust, because I think a lot of the stores, from what I understand, a lot of what goes on, a lot of the stores is, a lot of it takes place online. I mean, you're looking at breaks, you're looking at Razes, you're looking at different places, different things like that just take time to build up. And then St. Pete, I have a treasure. What? I have a place. Oh, cool.
Don't get distracted. Don't get distracted.
Sorry.
We're on a great rant.
Oh, okay.
Great.
And the biggest struggles are, figuring out allocations. Allocations are not given out the way they used to be. So that's one of the hardships, is trying to figure out how you can get product for a good price. With our shop, we're looking at doing like coffee as well, kind of like what Coffee Breakers are doing. But coffee's like really big down here in Tampa and St. Pete. So having a great cup of coffee and things like that is pretty big to what we're doing as well. So setting up those meetings and
that's a lot of work, man. A lot of work. That's a lot of different. I mean, you're talking about permits, you're talking about investors and space, and the lease thing is really big because here in LA, obviously with COVID, rent in LA and big cities is really expensive. So people can barely get by even when the economy is good. Most people are still like stretched beyond their means. And here in LA with the riots and with COVID and it being stricter here than in Florida and a lot of other states, I go down Melrose, I go down in Hollywood, like by Coffee Breakers, Hollywood is decimated. It's homeless people and lots of boarded up places. And so I talked to a guy there and he's
Nancy
like,
Pelosi.
when COVID's over, you have tourists coming again. So if it's in a touristy area, that's good. Obviously some of the homelessness hopefully will be gone and whatnot. But if you have a business or an apartment even, I'm like, dude, this is a time to really see how far your money can go because I would definitely not be paying top dollar for an apartment lease, for a business lease, because so many people can work from home that they could leave big, expensive cities if they want. They could, there's just a lot of options and businesses don't need to pay for all this square footage when half of it can be remote or more. So just like something to throw out there. Don't pay a lot for rent, period, right now. I would wait for 6 months or a year max to see what deals you can get. Yeah, dude, maybe a card shop in Australia is the answer, man. That'd be pretty cool.
COVID free out there, huh? Is that true?
I don't know, man. Are you? Oh, we got something. $2.
Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi. Dude, you know what's crazy that you mentioned that, John, is I went on CompC, and CompC has these lists of the most popular players, and I go under most popular players. I want to see if it's here, and it's based, I don't know how they base this on anything, to be honest, but I looked up here. Guess who was the most popular player? Who wants to take a guess? I'm going to show it.
Trump.
Okay. No, but very, very close. All right, let me show it. Share screen. All right, take a look at this. The heat index of Dr. Anthony Fauci is a 96.20. I don't know what that means, but he beat out Michael Jordan as the hottest player in sports.
What?
So I don't know what to think of that, but regardless. So, dude, you were talking about the allocations, and all right. So what it is in order to get these deals, these contracts from Panini and Topps and the others, that means you need to have a physical store. You can't just have an online store, or what?
With Panini, you have to have a brick and mortar, and there's a waiting list for that. So there's a lot of LCs on LCSs on there on the waiting list. Kim Jong-un. To get direct from Panini, so you can get direct from them. Most people are going through distributors, and allocation is kind of like, it's just there's so much. The thing is that there's so many people that are breaking online. A lot of the people who are breaking online they can pay a little bit more for the products. Because when they're breaking, they get a little bit more than what you would get at a store, and you're just selling it. So that's a whole factor that's in there as well. And so allocation just takes time. It's about like building relationships and things like that. So, a lot of that, Sean handles a lot of that stuff of like building relationships on that end with like some of the distributors out there. But yeah, man, it's definitely not easy. It's you gotta spend so much money per month. And yeah, you kind of gotta go for it.
Yeah, man. Well, it's exciting. And the good thing is that at least you're building your brand online, because I think that's the biggest thing that differentiates yourself. And I mean, I was talking about getting into breaks as well, but not as something to do for profit, not to do a lot of them, but more just like the occasional one just for content. So it's just crazy because it's so tough to get into to the deals, but even retail is tough without it being a bidding war. But I think it'd be great if we could do a break with like the three of us on one of our stations, just like a three-way break where we could all talk about different players and cards that we're interested in.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. Let's do National Treasures basketball next year. Boris, you got the hookup?
yeah, Boris, come on, man. When you get this allocation, we're all just gonna be like, "Yo, Boris, come on, man. What's up? Come on, hook a brother up."
I don't even know if the allocation is possible, so we're working on it.
I don't. Well, who knows? But I doubt they're giving great deals on that stuff.
Well, the one thing I could think of is that if you have a big brand on Instagram or YouTube or other social media platforms, I think they would lean towards that, even if it's not a physical store. If you're going to separate yourself from anyone else out there, and you can say, "Here's my station, here's my community," they're very engaged, and that's something. I would at least think that that's better than not having that at all. I saw a couple questions here. I don't know what Titan cards are. Do y'all have? Yeah,
they're here in St. Pete. They're in Pinellas Park, actually.
Oh, okay. I thought that was a type of card. Okay, so that's a card shop.
It's a card shop.
Yeah, I think they have a YouTube station, right?
Yeah, they do. Yep.
Okay, so they're breaking. It's crazy because here, card breakers here in LA, they bring on different Instagram models and other models, and they even had on the Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort, for special breaks, and they have Steve Aoki breaking from time to time. So they're focusing on using their relationships with, I guess, people with high followings on Instagram and whatnot. But that's something to look into as well, because Boris, if you can get like someone on the Rays or the Bucks to come and do a break with you, that'd be super cool.
Oh, for sure, bro. I've already got Tom coming as soon as the store opens. Yeah, he's there.
Boris actually blew off Tom to do this live.
Yeah.
Like,
sure.
no, man, I can't play tennis. I got this live I'm doing.
Appreciate it. Oh, we got someone here. Well, first Utopia, you paid the money, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for contributing. I don't know baseball. So Jason Dominguez, exquisite auto, or wait and hope to sell for $5K. So
sell it for $1K.
My question would be, how much did you pay for it? And Jason Dominguez, even though I've heard his name many times, the question is always like, if you paid $500 for it and you can get $1,000 now, and you have something else you can transfer that money into that's safe and secure, I would rather just go with the numbers versus the risk, because I don't know anything about this player. I've heard his name, but again, if you paid $300 or $500 and you can get twice as much, and then just duplicate that process, multiples of 2 work. It looks like that's a pretty safe way to invest if you're buying really at the low and then you're selling at the hype before the players actually play. But yeah, you could sell for $5K if everything goes according to plan. Right. It's just that very little, if anything, goes according to plan.
Yeah, and Jason Dominguez is like a 16-year-old, like maybe 17-year-old now. from Dominican Republic, I believe, and he's a Yankee prospect. And so I think in my opinion, I think it's just not a safe bet. I mean, it depends on how much you've made. Like, you know what I mean? If like you said, if you're 2xing your money or 3xing your money, just sell that sucker, put it into someone who's a little bit more stable, I guess, or has done something other than a prospect. I don't know. That's how I kind of feel about it, especially for his price.
Yeah, and the other thing I would say is if this is your gamble, but you have 80%, 90% in pretty secure players, and this is more of like I don't mind taking the gamble because this is a small percentage of my investing, then that's one thing. The other thing though is, I don't know where he is in terms of if he's expected to be brought up to the majors or anything like that. I don't know that, but there's a chance that if he is expected to play in the majors next season, maybe you wait for a news article regarding him from the Yankees. Maybe they say something like he's looking really good and there's a good chance he'll make it up to the majors, and that could be an opportunity before the season starts. I just have no idea about these players, and anyone that's not proven, I don't give them the benefit of the doubt. Right? Like I'm harsher on them than guys that have proven themselves and are having a down couple games or a down season. Dustin, anything you want to add, even though it's probably not good?
Yeah, this is probably horrible advice, but no, I'm not a baseball guy either. But I'm kind of I feel like backup quarterbacks are tough enough, let alone like a 16-year-old prospect in baseball. I think it's probably really fun to buy the baseball prospect, but I could never really do it, especially not big money cards like that where you've got $1,000 on the line or 5,000 or whatever it is. I would definitely sell it if it was me. But again, I'm not a baseball prospect guy. I don't know how many of them work out. I don't know if he was the number 1 overall pick. I don't know anything about it, but I would probably sell it if it was me.
And then also, if you paid $1,000 for it, then maybe you just hold on, or you paid more than that, you hold on. But again, it's all about like, I give guys that are unproven, I don't give them any benefit of the doubt. When they streak up, I sell, or the hype is high. Like either the expectations are high or they actually do well, I will sell there in order to buy the guys that are proven but are slumping or having a down year or down couple games, because that just makes sense to me. Now, if Jason Dominguez proves to be a good quality player of the next couple of years, you could still buy back in. But by that point, even if you bought back in at $5,000 in 2 years or 3 years, if you sold and made your profit and you were able to double that and double that and double that and double that, then you might have made like 8,000 or 9,000 from that original investment. And then you buy back in at $5,000, but you still did better overall. Because like the little tangent I just want to talk about is some people go, all right, well, if you bought all these Michael Jordan rookie cards back in 1986, 87, 88, and held them, they'd be worth millions of dollars, right? Well, that's also assuming you knew what was going to happen. So what sounds a lot better is you sell Jordan at its high, and then you roll that over into this stock, and you buy this real estate, and then you sell it at the perfect time, and you do this, and then you have way more than if you just held. The point is that we never know who's going to be the Jordan or the Mike Trout or the Wayne Gretzky or whoever else. And everyone wants to cling on to, it could be this guy, it could be this guy. But I'd rather just take the more proven approach of, when you prove yourself, I'll pay more, but it'll be more secure. And until then, I'm just going to sell you when the prices hit a point where I'm happy of letting go, and then just duplicating that. What the hell's going on? You have a cat running around there? What's that noise?
Who?
I don't know. One of you guys.
Hey, put the cats away. Those damn cats.
Well, anything else on your guys' minds? I got to piss real bad if you can't tell.
Me
I've been
too.
having to pee since about 10 minutes in, but I was hoping my internet would just go out so I could just use that as a bathroom break. Anything else you want to talk about before we head on out?
The Saints haven't beat the Broncos in 25 years, and they have them tomorrow at 4. So that's really on my mind a lot. I'm really kind of trying to get mentally right for tomorrow. Who are the Bucs playing?
What's that?
Who are the Bucs playing?
The Chiefs, man. This is a huge week, and we lost last week to the Rams. And so like I don't know what to think of the Bucks just because it's like they go from being dominant to being dominated. Like there's a few close games, but one week you go, wow, they destroyed this quality team. They destroy the Packers, and then they get their ass kicked by someone else. And so I just don't know what to expect. The defense can force 3 turnovers, but then allow 26 points or allow 400 yards passing. And I just don't know what to think. So tomorrow, I don't think the Bucks will win. I'd love for them to win, but I think the Chiefs just have too much going for them to pick the Bucks with my head. But then that would be a big disappointment because that's I think 7. I think there's 7-4 right now. So then they'd go down to 7-5 or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
So
but, I mean, they're a good team.
That's it. All right, guys. Well, it looks like they've run out a good conversation. I think we've ended it right there. Hopefully, this was enjoyable for you. Definitely going for the Bucks tomorrow. I hope you have a wonderful Sunday. Any parting words, Dustin?
No, thanks for inviting me on. I know this is a short notice. So.
That was great. Any parting words for you, Boris? I just had to do that one more time. Sorry.
Man, your internet is bad.
Fun, it's really fun to do that. But all right, finish off. Hands are free.
No, I haven't hung out with Boris on in a while, so it's good seeing you, Boris. Brad, I see you all the time, so whatever. But yeah, thanks for bringing me on. I appreciate it, guys.
You got it. And Boris, dude, congrats on the progress on the store. I'm really excited about how it's going to shape up next year. So I know it's a lot of work and it's not the easiest path to follow, but it's really exciting. So anything else on your end that you want to share?
Yeah, I would just say, if you guys are interested in following the process, we're on Instagram, Hobby Culture and Coffee on Instagram. So we do live breaks and razzes and things like that. And I'm always putting details about, using market movers, just like analysis and sales and things like that. So yeah, I would love the support.
Yeah. Hobby Culture and Coffee, right? Hobby Culture
and Coffee. Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, follow Boris there and his journey to opening a store, and then it'll be really cool to visit it next year when I'm back in Tampa. So
we'll be doing live breaks there. We'll be doing all that kind of stuff. You guys can come down and do it with us.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah. Hey, that's a business trip. That's a write-off. So that's cool. I got my LLC form, so that's a write-off right there.
Yeah,
I hope. But anyway, all right, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks, Boris. Thanks, Dustin. And have a great weekend, y'all.
All right. Appreciate you.